Hello, boys and girls. Welcome to Hello Cupcake. It's me. It's Michael, and today is the Saturday check-in. Today is April 10th, 2021. My lord, where is the time going? So, oh man, this week has just dragged on. Even though I just said, where's the time going? I meant, where's the time going in the fact that it's already like the 10th of April. Doesn't it just seem like we had Christmas like last week or something? But they say time flies when you're having fun or whatever. And I don't remember ordering or having this much fun, so who knows. Yeah. So I found out that my peer counseling testing is going to be happening May 10th through the 21st. So there's probably not going to be video done on that Wednesday until later on in the afternoon. And even then, depending on like how brain dead I am, after the video has taken place, it may just be quick and dirty instead of me doing the all the editing and stuff that I normally do. So yeah, there's that. Had a lot of just weird interactions with people lately also. The very first one is something that's happening on Facebook right now. So, for those of you who don't know, I was in Facebook jail for 72 hours over Easter weekend for making a post with the words white and trash right next to each other, and the Facebook algorithm picked it up and banned it as hate speech when it wasn't directed at anyone in particular. It was being used in a contextual fashion that went in sync with everything else that was being said on the Facebook group and so on and so forth and blah, blah, blah. Facebook actually has a courtroom, or a courthouse. It's called the Oversight Board. And I guess it's a group of douchebags who get together who like get to decide if your content goes up on Facebook or how your content is going to be used and so on and so forth or whatever. Just like whatever. But I went on to appeal my case at the Facebook courthouse, which is oversightboard.com. And anyways, there was this whole hubbubaloo with that, and my case never got looked at, and I had to wait the full 72 hours, like down to the freaking second, which was like whatever. But anyways, I belong to a local group here, and this group is always posting stuff that's happening statewide, nationwide, so on and so forth. Well, here, the governor just passed a bill that is restoring voter rights to felons. And I'm all for that. I'm like, you know what? You did the time, or you did the crime, you did the time, you come out, that's what it's supposed to be. You go to prison for reform, you come out, and you're supposed to be like clean slate, everything's okay. Now, before any of you blow up over this, I know that there are certain things that your rights should be restricted to, like if it's a sex offense or child molestation or, you know, things like that. Yeah, I'm not disputing that. If it was a violent crime, your access to lethal violent means should be restricted. Within reason. because I don't think that's a crime that was committed when you're 18 and you're incarcerated until you're 45 should then, when you're like released into society again, there's a huge chunk of difference, because what you did at 18 is not the same stuff that you would do at 45. And so I tried to put this into words for this one douche nozzle who is just really controversial and just a disgusting individual. And fortunately, unfortunately, they're the first mouth that opens up on any topic in this Facebook group. And so I'm like, okay, baby bird, I'm going to feed you, or I'm going to feed into your trolling. And I just stated that they are voter rights, not voter privileges, and that even though you have committed a crime, the whole point of reformation and the correction system is to correct your mistakes and to move you from point A to point B. And he's like, well, restitutions should be paid. I'm like, okay, yes, restitutions should be paid, but those restitutions have been paid out by insurance companies. If it is a crime against, a company, those restitutions have been paid out by whatever. The person doing the time in prison or while incarcerated, that is the restitutions being paid. And that was the whole rigmarole of the idea behind having a imprisonment system. You take somebody who has committed a crime, you reform them, you set them free. They come out of jail to become a productive member of society. And the way that things are set up now, if you come out of incarceration, you are less likely to find a job in an industry or a field that you may have education in, and usually have to take these crap, low-paying jobs because you made a mistake and you have a record now. This is something that my sister works doing, so I have a whole different perspective of this kind of like catch and release program. She works as a job placement specialist, so she takes people who are coming through rehab, who are coming out of incarceration, works with people with special needs disabilities, and finds them job placement within the community or whatever. She places people with Amazon. She's placed people with Microsoft. She's placed people just wherever she can get them that works with their knowledge and their current skill set. So the way that things are set up now, though, is if you have a felony, if you have any kind of criminal record or whatever, you're automatically seen as a degenerate, and a company will not hire you 9 times out of 10. Unless they're known for hiring felons and people who have been incarcerated or have drug possession charges. And a lot of times that's places like McDonald's, or that's places like Big Lots or the Dollar Tree and stuff like that. So, it's very difficult for somebody coming out of incarceration, especially if they spent any number of years in there. Think of somebody who was incarcerated in 1999 or 98, 99, right at the very beginning of the tech boom and the dot-com boom. and didn't get released until 2019, 2020. They missed out on like 22 years worth of technology. When they went into prison, we didn't have smartphones, we didn't have iPhones, we didn't have like internet the way that we know the internet to be now. We didn't have Roku, we didn't have Netflix. Like, we didn't have 99% of the stuff that we have now today. We were still using landline and rotary phones back in the 90s. And cell phones, I mean, come on. I showed you a picture of I did a video on my Kyocera. That phone I got in what was that? That was like one of the top of the line phones that Virgin Mobile offered in 2000. So, like, think of it. You're probably watching this on a laptop or on a tablet or on a smartphone right now. These people weren't exposed to any of that. They weren't exposed to MySpace and Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and this, that, and the other thing. So not only are they culturally and technically obsolete, now they're coming into a world and a workforce where even the poor people like myself, who only gets like $800 a month, is struggling to make it through, because my rent is $675 and my income is $800. 98% of my income goes to my freaking rent. The rest, $75, goes to my internet, and the last little bit that I have left over goes for like toilet paper and stuff. My sister pays for my electric, and my mom pays for my car insurance and for my phone. Am I proud of those? No, I'm not. But I have that support system. People who are coming out of incarceration don't have that type of support system. So I was just trying to like word this to this person, trying to get them to understand it, because they had a fuck 'em attitude. And I said, well, you know, it's fine to have a fuck 'em attitude, but it's easy for us to say these things when they don't apply to us. Only when stuff applies to us that do we change our attitude and take on a whole new, like, respect for that issue. I said, so because you've never been a criminal or you've never done XYZ, you don't have the understanding or the perspective. I've never been a criminal, so I don't have that perspective, but I have the compassion to understand the hardships that are stacked against these people when they come out of the system. And it's like, well, they shouldn't have done the crime then. I'm like, you know how many crimes are done, like, without any kind of premeditation? It happens like that sometimes. You know, some of these people were just hanging out at the bar, having a drink. Next second, they're fighting. The next second, somebody's dead. I mean, it happens that quickly, in that fast of processions. Should the person have taken a gun to the club? No. Should the other person have been an antagonizer? No. Should the gun have been pulled? No. But those things happen because those things happened. You know, we are prone to attack our attackers. And with aggressions and anger and everything else, as high as they are, when they are, you don't always think it through. And it's not until the very end that when you're in cuffs, sitting in jail or whatever, that you're like, shit, I should have done something different. We also have this whole mentality of, I'm not going to look like a little bitch. You're not going to come and beat on me or whatever. I'm going to defend myself. I'm going to defend my honor. You defended your honor. Now you're sitting before a judge calling him your honor. Okay? So that whole thing of learning to pick and choose your battles. Whatever. So, yeah, we go on and we go on and we go on and we go on. And he starts with this whole fuck 'em attitude. And I said, well, okay, so let's pause this for a second and look at the fact that Jesus was and is technically a criminal when he was crucified. Doesn't make it right, doesn't make it wrong, doesn't make it whatever. At the time, he was considered a criminal. He was considered a deplorable person. He was crucified next to two other people and still went on to forgive. I'm not saying that these criminals are like Jesus, but would you still have the same fuck 'em attitude if it was Christ? Now, I'm not Christian in any sense of the means. I'm not going to get into my own spirituality or whatever, but, you know, I use that because 90% of people identify as Christian or Catholic or some Judeo-Christian faith base. So I posed that question to him. Crickets. Then it came back like 10 minutes later. Fuck 'em. You shouldn't have done the crime. Period. I was like, well, you know what? You have a very obscure view, and you have a viewpoint that is only relative to you, and you're never going to be able to grow past that. So hopefully you don't have a moment where something takes you from being a citizen to being a criminal because of a lapse in judgment that you had for like a few moments. So yeah, that's the battle that's going on Facebook right now. As I'm getting older, I'm getting less and less able to deal with like over sensationalism and people not having the heart or the compassion or whatever for others. And I know that it's the society that we grow up. It's all about me and fuck everyone else. No one else is going to be there except for me at the end of the day type mentality situation or whatever else. But when you constantly go around with that kind of an attitude, eventually everyone loses out. And I think that is the biggest part of our society being the way that our society is now, is because we've gone from fellowship and brotherhood to stay out of my hood. Like, how many of us actually know our neighbors like we used, like our grandparents and our like grandparents, our parents, however you want to say that. I'm mixing up words right now, but you know, how many of us actually know our neighbors outside of, hey Bob, hi Sandy, how you doing, blah blah, or whatever. Like, we're not neighborly. It's stay on your side of the fence. That whole jingle from State Farm, like a good neighbor, State Farm is here. You know, you switch it around, like a good neighbor, stay your ass over there. That there's a disconnect. We're not connected anymore. We're not a community. We're not a society. We are a community of individuals, a society of none. We are only out for ourselves and what we can obtain. We have that whole mentality, he who dies with the most toys wins. No, that's not it. Like, he who dies with the most toys still dies. Like, it takes nothing to be neighborly. It takes nothing to be friendly. Like, I I try to know my neighbors. I know nothing about my neighbors to the side of me or behind me. I know a little bit about the neighbors on that side of me. And I know just a little bit about the neighbors across the street from me. And across the street from me, between me and that neighbor's house, is the main freeway intersection, like the only road that takes you in and out of town type situation. But I still know enough about my neighbors across the street and the businesses across the street that if I see something going on over there, I'm going to call, or I'm going to go over there and check on them or whatever else. Same thing with the neighbors all around me. Like, there was a TV character from, I think it was Bewitched, called Mrs. Magruder. And she was always with her face in the window, just like looking at the whole neighborhood, and was the neighborhood gossip. And every time she saw something like going on, she'd be all like, "Oh, Abner, so and so's doing this or so and so's doing that." And it's not that I am nosy about my neighbors. I am compassionate about my neighbors. I want to know that they are okay. I want to know that their homes are safe when they are not there. I want to know that no one is messing with their cars in the middle of the night. I want to know if I see my neighbor like maybe fall out in their yard, I can go over there and assist them. Like, that is the type of neighborly person that I try to be, but that's also how I was raised. My grandparents raised me that even though your home life may not be the best, you always stand out in the community as a shining beacon. And, you know, I've always tried to take that into heart. And even though I have a lot of bipolar, mental health, anger issues, and all this other stuff, like a turmoil storm just under the skin, if you ask around town, "Hey, you know that guy, the big guy, goatee, black glasses, drives the little silver car, whatever, Michael, yeah, that dude, you know, got the ponytail, whatever, yeah, he's a really good dude, yeah, you know, he always has a good thing to say about everyone, always real chipper, always real blah, blah, blah." Like, I actually experienced this firsthand. There was a homeless man on the bus one day who talked so high and so amazing of me, and I honestly have no recollection of him outside of just being nice and talking to him. And I think one day during the summer I was doing a grocery trip or whatever, and he was hungry and thirsty, and I gave him a sandwich and a soda that I had just bought. Did I need it? Probably, but I gave it to this person because I felt compelled to, because I saw that he was thirsty, and I only could assume that he was hungry. And so, you know, just those little interactions, even though it wasn't really much for me, it was the world for that person, because maybe I was the only person to show him kindness that day. But he, like, spoke this testimony that, like, hit me in the heart. And I got off the bus well before my stop, just so that I could cry, because I didn't want people to see me crying. But I was just like, this guy doesn't even know me, yet here he is speaking of me in such a high regard. And so I try to be that person wherever I go. And, like, if I'm having a bad day and I blow up at the store, or I say something to a courtesy clerk or something like that, I always try to make amends and go back the next day and apologize to that person. Like, hey, I'm sorry. I did not mean what I said. I did not mean the actions that I took. Please forgive me, blah, blah, blah. Even if they don't forgive me or accept my apology, I at least went through and tried to offer it. That's all you can do. Leave today better than you found it. You don't know what tomorrow brings. You don't know what's going through other people, are going on with other people. You don't know what's going through other people's minds. Not everything is an attack on you. Not everything is whatever. If we can all just make that simple shift in our thought patterns, shit would be so much better. But, we're only able to perceive from our level of understanding. And so if you don't have a broad level of understanding, you're not going to have a broad perception, and you're always going to be judging others for things that you don't know or that you can't understand or you can't see that viewpoint or whatever. So yeah, I've rambled on almost 30 minutes. So if you're this far into the video, thank you so much. Sorry, didn't mean to make this video about all that at all. I actually had so many other things that I wanted to talk about, but apparently this is the message that needed to come out today. So there it is. I love you guys. Thank you so much for watching. You know what to do. Questions, comments, concerns, comment section down below. You want to talk to me privately, you can shoot me a message. hellocupcakeitsme@gmail.com. And as always, thank you so much, and I'll talk to you all later. Bye, guys.